Hello, Miss Norma Hollis.
Hello, Reginald. Hello.
Okay, you're on the big stage. I'm going to mute myself and close my camera out and let you do what you do best.
Well, thank you. I appreciate it. It's great to have an
My pleasure.
opportunity. Hello, hello. Who's all those great people I'm saying hello to? Thank you very much. Why do I hear an echo? I've got a very delayed echo, but I'll just keep going. I don't know
You
what's
have an
happening.
echo because you have probably two different windows open or either your phone open. Which
Oh, okay. Let me close this one then. Okay, I see what's up.
there you
Now,
go. Now you're
there we go.
clear. Audio is
Thank you
clear.
very much. Thank you
My
very much. So I'd like to ask if any, I'm Norma Hollis, and I was first Black woman to own the Speaker Bureau for Black speakers. And Rosie asked me to come every year to help you as an author learn how you can become a speaker. So before I start talking a little bit, I would like to ask if there are any questions you have about speaking, about taking your message to stage and becoming a professional speaker. Please write them in the chat box, and that way I can respond specifically. Since this is an unexpected opportunity, I just got finished speaking a few minutes ago on my system called the Rapid Speaking System, which is a system that I developed after owning my bureau for several years and realizing that speakers have a lot of challenge taking their message on stage. One of the reasons for that is because as speakers, we are creatives. We love to think, I'm sorry, as writers, we're creatives. We love to write and have something new all the time. I read somewhere recently that God was a writer, and that made me feel really good because I'm a writer. And those of you know that writing is something that comes from within you, and that's where God lives within you. So the things that you write, that you put on paper, that come out of your mouth, are messages that you were designed to share. So knowing how to share them and how to monetize them is what I help you do. So I'm going to give you a little overview of my rapid speaking system so that you can understand a little bit. Now, I started this program, the rapid speaking system, because speakers just make so many mistakes working on getting their message out there into the world. So, you know, marketers, I admire marketers because marketers are the ones who really know how to get a hold of the money. They know how to be very consistent, to be very routine, to have a plan, to follow that plan, to do that plan. And as creatives, we got something new every day. We're not really happy unless we're creating new words, creating new pictures, creating something new, creating new speeches. I know I've spent my entire life creating. Now I'm putting all that creativity into formats that will be monetized. But you don't have to wait all your life to do it. You can start doing it right away. But you have to understand where your strengths are and where your vulnerabilities are. And you have to step into your strengths and find others and find ways to fill your gaps. Because the bottom line, it all has to be done, but you don't have to do it all. So my particular platform is authenticity. I help people know what their strengths are and where they're vulnerable and how to modify that. And with speakers, I do that by helping them understand the rapid speaking system. And wherever you may have a shortcoming in the rapid system, that's where you want to seek out some assistance. So I like to speak in the way that I teach and coach people. And when I'm working with speakers, I generally coach you to get an acronym that explains what you do, explains your process, explains your system, explains who you are. So I'm going to do that with the word rapids, my rapid speaking system, using the word RAPIDS. This is what I just spoke about in my booth. And, you know, and every time I speak, it always comes across a little differently. So if you just heard me speak a few minutes ago in my session, still listen again because I will indefinitely say something I didn't say before. There's so much to be said. And as speakers, what's important is to connect with your audience in kind of a spiritual way. And that way, every time you speak, it is no different because your audience is different. And that enables you to connect more with a more engagement and with in a more engaging way with the people you're speaking to. So the R in Rapids has to do with what's your real message. Now, what I recommend for people and advise you is that your message comes from your experience, your expertise, and your passion. First of all, whatever you speak about, you should be passionate about. I'm assuming that the books that you have written, or the book that you have written, or the one that you want to write, has something to do with a passion that's in your heart. That passion may come from your experience. As I mentioned in my session, I talked to people today. One lady had her son was murdered, and that's a passion of hers. So she's been on a journey for years to take care of that and to address that. Another one, her son spent 9 months in the service and came back totally mentally messed up. And so now she spends her time with mental health. Others' experience might have been how they were raised. I heard about some trafficking that someone else is writing about. What's your experience? What's your passion? Passion is something you are that gives you bliss or that pisses you off. So, which is it for you? And what is it you really want to talk about from your experience or from your expertise? Your expertise is what you have been doing for years. Now, when I had my bureau, I met a lot of speakers who came to me and said, I'm tired of corporate America or whatever job I've had. I've done it for 10 or maybe 20 years. I don't want to do it anymore. And I've lost myself. And now I want to go and I want to be me. So that's a passion that you're leaving. What was your expertise while you were doing it? What did you learn about the business you were in, about the job you were doing, the people you were working with? What's your expertise in that area? Those are generally where the speaking comes from, your experience and your expertise and what gives you passion. And it should also be something that's authentic for you. It should be your story, not somebody else's. So think about your book that you have written or plan to write. What was the passion that led you to write it? What's the experience or expertise that you wrote it with? And then we take that and leverage it and talk about where it fits in the world, how it fits in the world, how can you best speak about it. But that's the first step in becoming a speaker, taking your message on stage and monetizing your message, knowing what the message is. I refer to it as having a speaker identity. You hear the word brand a lot in branding. I don't necessarily talk about branding for speakers. I talk about identity. Who are you and what separates you from everybody else? When I started my bureau in 1996, it was not a crowded field. There weren't that many speakers out there. There were no Black speaker bureaus. I was the first one to start one. So it's changed a lot since then. It's a very crowded field now. So you have to be very clear on your message, and you have to be very clear on who your audience is. And that takes us to the A of the rapid speaking system. The A is who's your audience? Who's your target market? Now, so many of us, particularly as Black people, we're God's people in so many ways, and we have God messages. We have spiritual messages and religious messages, and that is great. But that's not the message and the audience that's going to make you big time money. It will satisfy your heart and satisfy your passion, and it will make you some funds. It'll make a few people a lot of money. But for most of us, we have to kind of modify our spiritual message to one that's more grounded, to one that's for the audience that's going to pay. I'm not saying give up by any means your spiritual religious perspective and your message, but if you're doing it for the heart, that's all you have to do. But if you're doing it for the income, you have to modify it a bit and identify what audience is most appropriate for you and how you have to change your words. Every industry has its own language, and you have to modify to that language. And that's really important. So knowing your audience and your target market is critical to moving yourself forward. The P in a rapid speaking system, the P is for your presentation. How do you present that passion that you're sharing? Do you present it with great passion, or do you present it in a monotone? Do you present it on stage? Do you present behind a camera? Do you present it online? What's the variety of ways you can present what it is that you present? Whatever it is, you should have it and know what it is and be able to present it authentically. When I started my bureau, I met a lot of speakers, and I would interview them, and I would ask them, well, tell me your message and tell me who you admire as a speaker. And they would throw out a name. Usually I knew who it was. And then I'd ask them to speak. And you know what they would do? They would start speaking just like the person who they just mentioned that they love so much. And it was so inauthentic. You can't be someone else. You can't be Les Brown. Everybody, I want to be the next Les Brown. No, you want to be the next you. You want to be you on stage. You can't be Les Brown. You're not Les Brown. Your experience, your passion, your expertise is different. Yours is unique. It's authentic to you. So identifying what that is and then maximizing it and bringing it out in a way that's appropriate. When I had the bureau, I heard the statement I heard most frequently is, I want to be a motivational speaker. And I would interview them and talk to them. And for some of them, I'd help them understand motivation is step one. Motivation is coming from the outside in, someone from the outside touching you in. An inspirational speaker is the next level. That's you're touching someone's heart. You're coming and helping them come from the inside out. Success in life comes from the inside out. When you feel it on the inside and then you bring it to the outside. And then there's transformational speakers. And transformational speakers change people. They change lives, oftentimes while they're speaking. When people leave the room, they're often different than they were when they came in the room. And you pick which one you want to be and where your gifts really put you, and that's who you should be. You shouldn't be other than who you are and how you are. I had another experience where I spoke for a Toastmaster Speaker Bureau group, and I had two introductions. And the first guy came out, we got Norma Hollis here. She's coming to speak with us, all hyped and all up. And then the second person did the same thing. But that's not me. So when I came on the stage, I was my normal, calm, kind of inspirational, transformational self, but I wasn't all that hype. That's not who I am. I tried that once in my early career and it just fell flat for me because it's not authentic. You want to be an authentic speaker. You want to make sure that as you're speaking, you're really representing yourself and not representing someone else's idea of what a speaker is. As a matter of fact, I talk about authenticity, and I mention that in all aspects of life, to be who God made you, not who society tells you to be. Same thing with speaking. Base it on your passion, your experience, and your expertise. And that book you wrote is, or planning to write, is probably also based on your passion, your experience, and or your expertise. And in that book is a thread, an idea of what your best message is, your real message, the authentic you, and is a big clue for what you should be speaking about when you are on stage. So now also on presentation, are you better on stage or are you better online? You have so many choices now. You probably get emails in your box every now and then inviting you to somebody's summit. And a summit is when they're introducing 10 or 21 speakers to speak on something, and it's a free event and you can participate. And that's a great way to get practice, to get your word, get your name out there, to test the market and see what works. Generally, though, if you're doing those, you have to have a database of 1, 3, or 5,000 people. And you want to start building that. I'll talk about that in a few minutes when I get to the D. But in the presentation, you really want to know what's most comfortable for you. Some people, I know I've talked to Les before, and he only does large crowd. He doesn't do panels. He knows that his sweet spot, the bigger the crowd, the happier he is. He's very good at that. What is your sweet spot? You have to know what it is, and then you start moving in that direction. The I in rap is for your income, and your income has two angles to it. One is your speaking fee. What is your fee? If you are coming from your expertise and it's based on multiple years, decades in a job situation, and you've learned something that you're very good at and that people need, then your speaking fee, I would suggest, and if you're comfortable speaking and you have a good presentation, then I would suggest if someone asks your fee, it's probably around 1,500. And I can say that without even having heard you speak, because you have the background and the expertise and the experience. If you're going on experience alone without the expertise, then your fee is probably around 500 that you're going to ask for, maybe higher. The thing about your fee is that as a speaker, you don't always get your fee. You establish a fee as what your value is, but often you accept a much lower rate. Sometimes you can command, you get to be a Les Brown or something like that, but even he speaks for free sometimes in selected situations when there's other benefits. Benefits meaning if you're speaking for free, you want to ask, well, can you record it for me? Can you videotape it for me? Especially if it's a place that has quality video material, video equipment that gives you something you can use in the future. You want to ask, can I get a list of the name of the emails of the attendees? Because that helps to build your database. What else can you ask in exchange for your speaking for free? Can I sell my product? So nothing is totally free. There's always a give and take, and you always have to remember and ask and figure out what can you get from it. What's the quid pro quo that will come to you for you sharing your passion, your experience, and your expertise. So the other part of I is your product, which I mentioned briefly. And you, as speakers, you have to have product. I remember I met Les Brown when George Fraser, when I went to my first George Fraser event many years ago, and he had just learned about product, and he was aghast because he was telling me about experience where he spoke for a gentleman named John Childers. And John Childers wears a vest all the time, a very unassuming white man with a very soft voice. And Les, I think, was one of the first speakers, and he was delighted that he earned $48,000 in that one speaking event. Now, when you do speaking events like that, you split 50-50 with the people that got the people in the audience, with the marketing people. So he walked away with $24,000. He was delighted. But then he told me about John Childers, who was the last speaker on a 3-day event. And John Childers, because of how he did what he did, made $350,000 at the same event where Les made $48,000. So that's the value of product. I'm not suggesting that I have ever made that kind of money speaking or that you will. But my point is that you have to have something that it's product that you sell and learn how to sell it on stage. Because then if you do speak for free, and he did go there for free. He paid his own way, paid for his own hotel, took care of all of his own expenses, but he got paid. So there's more than one way to get paid besides your speaking fee. That's why it's important to have a product. This was my first product, which is my book, The Process to Become a Professional Speaker. I sell it for $40. You can find it on my website, normahollis.com, under the books link. And that's the ebook version, which is only $25. But what I did after I wrote the book is I had an event, a seminar, a 3-day seminar that I totally recorded, audio recording at the time, it was many years ago. And then I took the book and the audio recordings and turned them into a package, a bundle. A bundle is when you put things together and sell them as one. So then I went from a $40 book to a $97 product, sold the same number, but made a lot more money. So your book that you have right now, that you've written or that you're planning to write, think about how you can add to that, how you can expand the message, expand what you're talking about, and turn it into some audio products. Audio products are a lot easier to do now than they were then. If you don't know about the software that you can use, there's one called Audacity. It's not audacity.com. You got to Google it to find the right link. I don't know offhand what it is. But Audacity is a free software that you can actually record your audio, and then you can actually edit it, and then you can download it, and then you have a product that you can begin to sell and market. So when you go speak for free, you have something you can offer for people, whether you offer it as a download or whether you actually I guess they don't do CDs anymore. I'm old school, but however, you can still offer your audio as a product, put it on your Instagram or somewhere, or however you're going to do it. But you can also gain more income. You want to have that. That's a good starting point. Now, my book that I have here has turned in now into the rapid speaking system. It's turned into speeches that I
In
do.
my group
It's
today,
turned
but
into
I have
coaching.
videos
It's
that are
turned into
playing
many.
over there. So when everybody
Uh,
come over there,
why
they
do I
just
hear
click on the
more noise?
video.
You know, I just popped in and I popped in and went straight over to the sessions and saw yours and popped. Yeah, because I was actually doing that content meeting directly before this.
Oh, okay. Yeah. So this, as you can see, and everybody's pretty much had
I'll
a,
just mute those and I'll just continue talking. So I don't know what happened there, but I was on income and product. So let me move on to distribution. I know our day is just about over. And the D in Rapids is for distribution, which means marketing. And marketing has to do with getting your message out there. So one of the things that's important about marketing is it's not what we speakers and coaches and writers do easily because we're the creators. We want to create something new all the time. And with marketing, it's doing the same thing over and over and over again in order to have the right success. It's far more routine than most creators want to do. Like I mentioned earlier, know what your strengths and vulnerabilities are. The successful speakers that I have known that have been most successful are speakers who have had a marketing partner, who have had someone that's done for them what they don't do well. What we do well, we speak, we write, we talk, we do things that are creative. We create something new every day. But the marketers do the same thing every day, maybe in different ways, or they have their ways of doing it. But it's a different understanding, it's a different mindset. So stay where your authentic self is, and make sure you work that well. So, but distribution also means social media. That's which is a very inexpensive way. When I started my bureau, they didn't have social media. I had to print everything and do it that way. So you can go to Fiverr, Fiverr.com, Fiverr. That is an organization that enables you to find people that can do services for you. They can do services such as social media for you. And you can put in what you want, you research people, you select the ones that you think are going to be most effective for you, and then you bring them on as your marketing partners. Um, I'm going to go ahead to S, and S is the systems. You need to have systems in place that will help you to automate. So systems would mean, for example, a way to hold on to emails. So when you get emails and you've got like today, you meet people and you get along fine, and you want to get their email, and then you need a place to put the email. You used to get business cards, and now they do it on the back. They don't go under your bed like many of you used to do, but you put them in a database. And I recommend to you to go to MailChimp, MailChimp.com, because you can get 2,000 names for free. It won't cost you a thing. But it's not just a place to put the names, it's a place also to use to reach out to other people, to the people who are on your list. You want to send them a message, a newsletter, something at least once a month, once a week if you're up to it, but once a month to start, because you want them to remember you whenever they have something that they need that relates to you. You know, so often as speakers and writers, we look at things as transactional, meaning you just get one sale from it. And I want you to change your thinking to see how you can get multiple sales, how you can build a relationship with the people who buy your book, the people who want to hear you speak, so that it's a long-term relationship. I have clients that have been with me for 10, 15 years, and it makes a difference. You have a relationship, you get to know them well. I have one lady that started out as a very mousy, quiet woman. I want to be a speaker, Miss Hollis. And now she has not only delivered to multiple audiences, she's written her own program, Living by the Wheel. And she's giving her own events based on that. You can do that too. You can do that too. If you're serious about that, looking for some coaching, I also certify speakers and coaches to do a program to help them be more authentic and to teach it to others. I can help you with that. I can also help you with one-on-one of building your speaking career. Just if you're serious, go to meetwithnorma.com and
Norma,
set
you
up a
got about
one-on-one
10
with me.
minutes.
And it's a complimentary. And I'll be happy to give you 20 to 30 minutes and talk about your career, talk about your book, talk about where you want to go and how you can get there. If you'd like to get the book itself, it's normahollis.com.
Norma, you have about 10 minutes.
It's been a pleasure. I thank you, Rosie and Reginald, for allowing me to have this time to speak with you. And I don't see any questions, but if you have any, please feel free to write them down, and I'll be happy to answer. Thank you. So I don't know where we're going. There you are, Reginald. I don't know why my light is on.
Exceptional presentation as always. You are just phenomenal. And please reach out to Miss Hollis. She is a world-class professional that has a wealth of knowledge and expertise. And if you're thinking about doing it, don't delay. Just do it. Don't procrastinate. Don't sit on the side of the road. Today is cash, the best day of your life. Take advantage of it. Reach out to some people here. And Miss Norma is a phenomenal resource for you. So if you just have some anxiety and some angst about doing it, don't. Just stop. Just do it. It's okay to make mistakes. Failures are your steps to success. So follow the path. As Norma has been one of the pioneers in this space, especially with people like us. And we just appreciate her sharing her insight and her wisdom with us, and glad to be associated with people as her. You have to be in the room, and I try to be in the room with people better than me. And Miss Hollis is a prime example of people that are willing to share their knowledge and expertise with us. So be a sponge, absorb it, and enjoy the rest of the day. Dr. Rosie will be on shortly. And then we have about 15 minutes for you to circle around, then we'll close this thing out. Thank you, Miss Norma. Miss Hollis.
Thank you. I'll be in my booth until 4 o'clock.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
NormaJHollis.com, right?
No, just NormaHollis.com.
NormaHollis.com. All right. Exceptional. Yes. Visitor booth. Okay. My pleasure.
I'm going up there. Thank you. Okay. Take care. Thanks, everybody.